Our service is going to take a decidedly different turn while I'm speaking, so feel free to laugh and cheer if you so desire. I've always aspired to be a stand-up comedian, but I'm probably going to end up reading most of this because the writing's good, but I'm not the best on delivery. George Carlin is one of my favorite role models. And his 7 words you can't say on television is one of my favorite bits. He never came up with the 7 words you can't say in church. So I guess everything's fair game here today. My brother did not cuss like a sailor, but he wasn't a choir boy either. Hopefully the tone of this talk will land in the middle somewhere. I hope to honor him most of all, so what everyone else thinks isn't really my concern today. So I may let fly a few choice words. This is an advanced warning to the children and mothers out there. It might even be fun and keep you awake to count the profanities as we go. Did we really need a wake-up call? Are we wasting our lives away and missing what's important? Will Dodd's death change any of your habits or perspectives? Maybe yes, maybe no. If your answer is no, you can drift off to sleep and tune me out. Your life is already as fulfilling as it can be. If your answer is yes, then sit up straight and get ready for a damn good speech. While we may have been wimps in high school, here in quiet Old Bay Village, the Gatsos boys are anything but passive now, and certainly not lacking some appropriate arrogance. I'm going to spend a while talking about who Dodd was, strolling down memory lane, gathering in a few laughs, hopefully inspiring more. I'm going to talk about who Dodd is, the D-O-double-D. While yes, his body passed into oblivion, his character lives on. I'm not talking about some silly theological bullshit either. Don't get what I'm about to say mixed up with some happy pie in the sky discussion about eternal life, heaven, or the afterworld. While Dodd did not believe in any of that, it is safe to say he was happy for you to express and believe whatever you wanted. You won't find me quoting Bible verses or famous leaders. I'm even going to leave out poems and songs to make the heart warm. Those media can make the pain easier to deal with. But what I'm about to share is entirely more significant anyway. And I'm so on my philosophical game, not one of you could beat me in an argument about it anyway. Not today. In short, those ideas are going to sit behind what Dodd is as a man, the D-O-double-D. First, you're going to hear about who he was, how we all experienced him. Second, you're going to hear about who he is, what he stood for and still represents. Third, you're going to be challenged or inspired to become something with the extra days you've been given. Ah, the memories. I was hit with the news of Dodd's accident while out of town in the middle of a chess tournament. I said we used to be wimps and recovered from that, but I never said we weren't still nerds. As a result, since I was away, I looked to Facebook to help me start moving out of shock and into experiencing loss. I got on Dodd's page and saw that people had been posting pictures to share at the wake in Texas. It was so refreshing to begin to see how many people Dodd had touched. When he walked into that bar and saw over 200 people gathered to pay their respects, I was never more proud of my brother. On Facebook, I suggested that people share some memories of Dodd because it's good grieving to begin to cement images of the person you are losing in your mind, because those images are only going to fade with time. So take a minute, think of a memory or two or three today you shared with Dodd. Here are a few that posted. Chris Zeller. I loved the mad scientist in Dodd. Whenever we met up, we discussed various schemes he was hatching and plotted grand business ideas. Dodd was the first person to visit me in Miami when I moved there in 2001 and knew no one. We killed it in South Beach. Dodd always brought gifts whenever he visited. Notice gifts not named. I am lucky to have known him, and luckier still that my last and best memory comes from Christmas in Vegas. Again, not explained. Brett Householder. One of my many Dodd stories came in our year together at the University of Cincinnati. We were at a meeting in a large classroom with little desks bolted to the floor. One of the desks was loose. So Dodd jumps on and pretends that he was riding a bull. One hand in the air and everything. After the obligatory 8 seconds, he fell off to the cheers of about 100 of us. He pretended to dust himself off and walked back over to me to continue our conversation. Classic Dodd. Aaron Marshall. I wasn't very close friends with Dodd at OU, but we did take an epic trip to New Orleans together with some other people. I had brought along a small tape recorder, and I remember Dodd and I trying to convince some strippers we were on assignment for Playboy and doing interviews with them about being strippers. They loved Dodd and he ended up having to give away his do-rag to one of them as she danced on the stage. Megan Hanley Elphinstone. One time, Dodd and Dave and I went to see the Allman Brothers, and I woke up the next morning. I walked past our futon, and Dodd was asleep, face down, still holding the glow stick that he had bought at the show. He reminded me of a child. Who had just had the best day of his life and falling into the kind of nap you can only have after your first trip to the zoo, still holding a balloon. And that reminds me of the toast at our wedding, which was, just remember, have fun. That's what it's all about.